So I was going through my channel and I realized it's been over 1 year since I uploaded the original Rachmaninoff vlog back in January 2020. It's been quite a year. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I never really finished the section on the third movement of the Rach 3, so I wanted to finish up that in the vlog series. Plus, I'm going to give a shout out to my sponsor Yevgen for this upcoming series we're going to do on Rach 3. I'm going to talk more about it later on at the end of the video, but I can tell you there's nothing like it that exists online. We're going to be digging into the harmonic analysis of it, but my goal is to make it not overly technical and a type of analysis that can really help people understand the piece, even and especially for people who are not professional musicians. To some people, musical analysis might be like a bad word because it implies a bunch of work that's very mathematical, but it's very important, especially understanding pieces like this. You can just see flipping through. He clearly delineates certain sections, and you need to understand where those sections begin, where they end, how they all tie in together, because that'll make your task of learning this piece a lot simpler. In this new series, we're going to be using a bunch of different charts and visual explanations of the harmony to kind of help people understand this even better. Alright, so it's been a whole day. I finally worked up enough courage to look at this while sitting at the piano. I'm not even sure where to jump in, so I'm just deciding to start at this vivace here. One of my favorite parts of the entire piece. I just love the way this builds towards the climax. I guess this part is notable because of its percussive nature. So, to me, it's very important to keep the rhythm tight here. And these are very much like a timpani. So keeping that rhythm tight throughout this whole thing will help to build the intensity. Also, the dynamic pacing. As always, he has multiple layers, so you want the top da 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 to be staccato, and the inner voices rum da 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 da. So you've got that layers of texture. And then you finally arrive at this place. Which is related to if you go back and watch the cadenza video, it's very similar, same harmonic structure, just in different registers. The texture is different. As you can see, it's a little bit rusty in the hands, but because I understand it, I'm at least able to play through it. Now, just visually looking at this, it's quite dense. I know I use that word a lot in reference to Rachmaninoff, but it's really true. This is not a single line of music. There's sort of a call and response going on in the middle of this. So it's almost like you can divide up the statements in different parts, so that way you keep interest, so it doesn't begin to sound too monotonous. Answer. Another statement. Answer. Another statement. Answer. And then it's all in the same register. And there is your first point of arrival. Ba 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 da 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 da. So it's kind of like thinking in stereo, left, right, left, right. Also, in the left hand, this can be quite challenging for people. There's a lot going on, a lot of jumping. So I like to think of it as all driving towards a particular point. In other words, every time I go to this low octave, that gives me a chance to give myself a break. So instead of trying to play everyone forcefully, you're going to tire yourself out and you're going to lose speed. So try to think of the strong beats. Besides, that gives more of a driving rhythmic feel that we were talking about, carrying from that rhythm. So very light on these. So I can kind of move in on areas like that. This three are accented, then you can come off. Again, da-da, da-da. You want to move in towards the strong beats so that you're not muscling through all of those. And then by that point, I'm just playing like this. Just trying to get as much sound as I can, really, boom. And then thumb here to get as much sound out of that F sharp as possible. So for instance, on this part here, un poco meno mosso, I redistribute the hands. It's written like this. But as I've mentioned before, I like to keep the same position if I don't have to move. So rather than this, I do this. And then rather than this, I just do. It saves time, it saves energy. Here again, I don't do that, I do this. Here, rather than, maybe you disagree with me, but this is just the way that I think. I think it helps me memorize. And then some people roll the chord. I personally like to roll the chord sometimes because it's an arrival point. It's just this glorious moment with the orchestra. Another moment where you can roll. Typical rule of thumb in practicing octaves, you always want to practice the outer and the inner registers. So typical rule of thumb for the thumbs. And if you notice, when I'm playing, I am making sure to actively use the thumbs and not just... A lot of amateurs make this mistake of kind of keeping their thumb still and just using their whole arm. That's going to slow you down a lot. Even in slow motion. Now another really cool area of the third movement is the scherzando, which in my mind reminds me a lot of Tchaikovsky, who was one of the greatest influences on Sergei Rachmaninoff. And the number one thing for me in this section is count, count, count. I wrote in all of the major beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And a lot of slow practice, but keeping that steady beat. Because there's so many 30-second notes, if you lose the main beat, then the whole thing's gonna fall apart. It'll be very difficult to play it with either another pianist or an orchestra. Now this part with the 30-second notes, I pedal the whole thing just to create a little sweep. Another place, pedal, off pedal. So it requires a little bit of reading between the lines every time it has those 30-second notes. I hold down the pedal because I'm going after an effect, a sonic effect, not just playing all the notes. Yep. And you can really get that buildup of sound better with the pedal. And I also think it helps to contrast with all that's going on with the staccato chords. So you have kind of a theme and variation here, with a lot of it staying on a pedal point E flat. This dark intersection, which for whatever reason gave me just a ton of problems memory-wise in this section right here. So starting at the top of this F minor chord, and then I roll this chord this way rather than that. That octave makes it sound a lot stronger. And last one with the octave. As always, you don't want to lose track of the main line here. There's a lot going on in the middle voices, and it's really interesting material, but the most important is that da, dee, da, 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 da. There's still a melody. This is Rachmaninoff after all. Now remember that really rhythmic scherzando in E flat major? Well, it comes back in another format with just about the most packed and crowded section of music I can think of. Just this steady stream of 30-second notes with a lot going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 measures with so many notes in those 10 measures. So this one is going to take just special attention. Not just because it has a lot of notes, but there's a lot of texture inside of it. So I would definitely practice getting all of those really sharp and really crisp is going to really stand out. Actually, for me, one of the most challenging sections is this più mosso here, and when it comes back again in the recap. It's so much dynamics, and also with all of these inner voices, not having them overpower both the melody and the bass. So what I mean is, you never want to lose sight of the main thread that runs through it, like the skeleton of the phrase. So it's going to require to voice that thumb. Again, don't play this too loud, the pinky. I don't think it's really necessary. It's also being held in the orchestra. Anyways, those are just a few sections within the third movement. I could keep going. I could, go phrase by phrase. This could be several hours long, so I'm going to cut it off there. But I do have those videos coming soon. I'm super excited to see what they're going to turn out like, talking all about analysis and having all these charts and things to help explain the beauty of this music. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you like this video. I always like hearing from you guys, so I'll see you next time.